Good morning, everyone. It's really nice to see you all here. Since many of you are students, some of you may be new to the UK, and some of you may even be new to Scotland, I'm going to give you a practical, very down-to-earth introduction to Scotland, and then I'll zoom in on Edinburgh. Think of this less like a geography lesson, and more like, what will you notice, what will surprise you, and what will help you feel oriented quickly. Scotland. Scotland is part of the United Kingdom, but it has a strong sense of its own identity. You'll hear that in the way people speak about the country, and you'll see it in the culture. Scotland has its own legal system and its own education system, and it also has its own parliament. So even though it sits within the UK, it isn't simply the north of England. It feels distinct, historically, culturally, and politically. Now, if you ask people what Scotland is famous for, you'll get two kinds of answers. The first is the classic postcard list: the Highlands, lochs, castles, whiskey, and dramatic landscapes. The second is the weather. And honestly, the weather deserves its reputation. Scotland can give you 4 seasons in one day. You can leave the house in sunshine, get rain 10 minutes later, then wind, then blue sky again. Locals rarely make a big deal of it, they just keep going. So, if you take one practical tip from this talk, dress in layers, and always carry something waterproof. One big reason Scotland feels special is the landscape. Even if you live in a city, you are usually not far from somewhere that feels wild. There's coastline, countryside, mountains, and islands, an impressive variety for a relatively small country. People often talk about the Highlands in the north and west, which are the famous open spaces with mountains and lochs, and the lowlands, where most of the population lives and where you find the main cities. And then, of course, there are the islands, Skye, Orkney, Shetland, each with their own history and character. Culture is another big part of what you'll experience. You probably already know the global symbols: bagpipes, kilts, tartan patterns, Highland games. But in everyday life, culture shows up more in language, humour, and social habits. Scottish accents vary a lot by region. The way someone speaks in Glasgow can sound very different from someone in Edinburgh, and both can sound different again from someone in the Highlands or the North East. If you're an international student, it's normal to find it challenging at first. The good news is, most people are friendly, and if you ask them to repeat something, they usually will. Scottish humour is also worth mentioning. It can be dry and quick, and people often tease each other in a friendly way. If someone makes a light joke at your expense, it's often a sign they're comfortable around you, not that they're being rude. And more generally, Scots can be very open and chatty. It's quite normal for strangers to start small conversations in shops, on buses, or while waiting in line. Now let me talk about the cities, especially the two that get compared all the time, Glasgow and Edinburgh. Glasgow is bigger, and it has a reputation for being lively, creative, and energetic. It's known for music, art, design, and a strong local personality. Edinburgh is the capital, and it feels more historic, more formal, and more storybook. Edinburgh is the place people imagine when they think of cobblestone streets, old stone buildings, dramatic views, and a castle on a hill. They're different moods, not competitors. So, Edinburgh. What makes Edinburgh immediately recognizable is its geography and architecture. It's a city of stone and hills. You see a lot of grey stone buildings, solid and atmospheric, and because the city is built on slopes and high points, you also get sudden, beautiful views. You can turn a corner and see a skyline that looks like it belongs on a postcard. The iconic centerpiece, of course, is Edinburgh Castle. It sits on top of Castle Rock, which is an extinct volcano, and it rises above the city. In many parts of Edinburgh, you can look up and see the castle, and it creates this constant feeling that history is not separate from everyday life, it's literally built into the skyline. Then you have the Royal Mile, which is the spine of the old town. It runs from the castle down to Holyrood Palace, the king's official residence in Scotland. Along the Royal Mile you'll find museums, pubs, little shops, street performers, and a lot of narrow alleyways called closes. If you like exploring, those closes are the kind of places where you can step away from the main street and suddenly feel like you've traveled back in time. Edinburgh is often described as having two halves, the Old Town and the New Town. The Old Town has a medieval layout, narrow streets, tall old buildings, and hidden passages. It's atmospheric and dramatic, especially in winter. The New Town is new only by Edinburgh standards. It was built mainly in the 18th and early 19th centuries, so it's elegant and planned, with wide streets and Georgian architecture. That contrast is one of the pleasures of Edinburgh. Within 10 minutes you can walk from medieval to Georgian city. Edinburgh is also very much a student city. The University of Edinburgh and other institutions mean students are a visible part of daily life. That matters because students bring international communities, events, cafes, and energy during the academic year. You will also notice that the city feels different across the seasons. In term time it feels busy in a student way, and in summer it becomes busy in a global tourist way. And that brings me to festivals. Edinburgh is famous for being a festival city, especially in August. The Edinburgh Festival Fringe is often described as the world's largest arts festival. In that month, the city transforms. Comedy, theatre, music, street performances, posters everywhere, pop-up venues in unusual places, and crowds from all over the world. It's exciting and culturally rich, but it can also be intense. Everything gets busier, and it becomes harder to find a quiet table in a cafe. So if you're living here, it's good to know that August is not normal Edinburgh, it's Edinburgh on maximum volume. One thing students often appreciate is that Edinburgh is unusually green for a capital city. You have major natural spaces right inside the city. Arthur's Seat, in Holyrood Park, is a large hill, another extinct volcano, where you can hike up and get an incredible panoramic view. It's one of the best ways to understand the city's geography. Calton Hill is smaller and easier, but it gives you a classic city view, especially at sunrise or sunset. And Princes Street Gardens, right in the centre, is a park where you can sit with the castle above you, which still feels slightly unreal even after you've seen it many times. Now, what is daily life like? Edinburgh is generally safe, walkable, and well connected by buses. The city centre is compact, which is helpful for students. The hills will challenge your legs, but you can do a lot on foot. Compared to London, the pace of life is calmer. It's busy, but not overwhelming in the same way. There are two practical realities, though, that students quickly learn. The first is that winter days are short. It gets dark early, and that can be an adjustment if you're coming from somewhere with more daylight. The second is that Edinburgh can be expensive, especially housing. Rent can be high in popular areas, and finding accommodation can take time. Many students live slightly further out and commute in. And finally, food, because someone always asks. Edinburgh has international food options: Indian, Chinese, Thai, Middle Eastern, Italian, and more. Traditional Scottish food exists, like haggis, neeps and tatties, but daily eating is pretty mixed and modern. If you want to try something classic, a Scottish breakfast or fish and chips are easy choices, and haggis is honestly better than its reputation suggests. Before I finish, let me give you a few quick student survival tips that are simple but genuinely useful. First, pack layers and bring a waterproof jacket, always. Second, wear comfortable shoes, because the stone streets and hills are real. Third, if you visit the city centre in August, expect crowds. It's not you, it's the festival season. And fourth, if you struggle with the accent at first, don't worry. Ask people to repeat themselves. Most will. So, to close, Scotland is memorable because nature and history are always close together, and because culture shows up in everyday language, humour, and identity. Edinburgh is memorable because it's dramatic and beautiful, but also practical and livable, a historic capital that still feels like a modern student city. If you take one thing away from this, let it be this: don't just look at Edinburgh like a museum. Use it like a campus. Walk it, climb it, explore it, and make it part of your daily routine. That's when the city stops being a postcard and starts feeling like home. Thank you.